So let's take a look at the MobileStudio Pro in action with zBrush then. So over the second week of using the unit that I got, I started to do a lot of testing of sculpting, and it's about an 8-minute compressed from 2 or 3 hours of the way that I would sculpt with the MobileStudio Pro, and I had nothing but a good experience. It's very, very fast. I didn't have any lags with zBrush at all. I used it for this character that I'm doing on screen now. I used a combination of just the express keys and a keyboard as well. Tried both, got a good experience with both, and it pretty much matches the experience that I have with the 27-inch with the remote. So I think I probably prefer the keyboard because of the number of keyboard commands that I've got configured. And I tested all of the main things that I would do in zBrush. So this one, for example, is Z-spheres, and then that model's then converted to a polygon mesh, and that's the point I'm at now, which is just literally roughing out the basic shapes of the creature. And the plan for this all along was going to be to do a creature that would hold a Wacom stylus. So I wanted something that was quite top heavy, could be posed in a way that would allow me to put a stylus in his hands. So at this stage I'm literally just roughing out all of the core muscles and trying different things. So this isn't exactly how I would model all the time, but I wanted to try to push the MobileStudio Pro a little bit, and see pretty much where it could go really, and where I could try and even generate some problems. So sometimes I pushed it up to higher polygon counts than I would normally do, and then came back down of the resolutions. So for example, I would always do low polygon sculpting and then subdivide it once. So say it starts at 50,000 polygons, subdivide it once and go up to 200,000, and subdivide that and go up to 800,000. So sometimes on this model I pushed it higher earlier just to see if there was any issues, and to be honest with you, the MobileStudio Pro has got a Core i7 in it with 16 gig of RAM. And this is I put a clean install of zBrush on, so this is the straight up 64-bit trial, and it performs as good, if not better, than any of my workstations that I use to train zBrush on. It doesn't give me any blockiness or any lagginess when I start to do any of the projection. So if I've got multiple models in the scene and I project the high res onto the low res, I don't get any stuttering, I don't get any delays in the process. Obviously it takes a while to do some of the functions, and I didn't find anything any different than any of the machines that I use in the studio here. I did find, as I say, it's very much a preference of whether you use the onboard express keys and configure the buttons for yourself, or whether you use an external keyboard. And I think when I'm using the MobileStudio Pro for more sketching, I'll probably use the keyboard, or a keyboard, probably not at all, or a lot less. With this one, as I say, I've just moved onto the second part of the video here, so I did it in a few different sections. By this time I was using the keyboard quite a lot, because I was getting into all of my different brush key configurations, and switching out a lot to different flatten brushes and inflate brush, and you can of course just do that with just hitting a pre-configured key, which is keyboard B, but you can configure one of the express keys for that if you need to. It's just the way I preferred to do it in the week or two that I've had the unit. I just found it more comfortable with the tiny little remote keyboard. What the stage that I'm at on screen now is I'm getting into detailing the muscles, so it's probably at quite a probably 4 subdivision levels up now, and I'm actually getting to the point where I'm using a clay build-up brush, which is like adding clay, and I'm just going over all of the core areas where I want to put muscle definition in, and then building it up a little bit, and then smoothing it down a little bit, and then just trying to get the shapes and the forms that I would want. It's quite an exaggerated character, and as you saw at the render at the start, it is quite a science fiction-y kind of fantasy beast. So it's not accurate to the point of every muscle being where I would want it on a human figure. So I just wanted it to look nice. The intention is, as I say, to 3D print this and be able to hold a Wacom stylus in its hands. So I was always making it with the view of it looking good on a desk, hence what that render is. So the muscles are a little bit over the top, really. Obviously you can't hear on this particular video, but what I've found that's very, very different than the early Cintiq companions is that I don't get the fans kicking in. And that is a real, it's not overheating in the software that I use. So I haven't really done much with it in terms of things like After Effects, or I haven't actually even rendered in Keyshot on it yet. But in things like Photoshop, zBrush and Cinema 4D that I've been trialing all this week, I didn't have any significant overheating or any significant even the fans kicking in to stop it overheating, which is, for me, is one of the biggest benefits of this new machine and new setup. And they've obviously spent time and really thought about the things that artists have told them from the previous iterations, and that was one of the big bugbears that I had with the companion one that I still use to this day. But this is like a whole world of difference away. The unit that I've got, I said in earlier videos, this is the one with the separate graphics card. It's got 16 gigs of RAM, and it's the Core i7. So it's a fast machine anyway by modern standards, or on par with modern standards. But with it being a mobile unit, it can clearly do some power function, pieces of software. Really, I'm doing on screen there. I'm doing. I didn't rig this one in any way. I just did it with masking and using the transpose line to give myself a pose. What you can do, and what I've done on other models is, or models that I want to repose over and over again, is build another Z-sphere rig inside it. And again, on the testing I've done for that, not an issue with the machine at all. It really, really is a nice experience. The fact that you're doing it on a 4K panel, very, very high resolution screen, it just makes it probably, if anything, it's some people would find it a big unit because it's the 16-inch. It's obviously a big screen. It's not heavy. It's not heavy not anywhere near as heavy as I expected it to be, and spending hours and hours sculpting like this wasn't in any way an inconvenience. So it really is if you want a mobile sculpting solution and a mobile graphic, really high-powered graphic product, then this is going to be something you need to consider.